Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of my series, Managing Self, where I have the opportunity to share with you, the listeners, various experiences of how I daily continue to take charge of multiple sclerosis, thus the name Managing Self. This I do using elements that I've identified as keys to my success. The first of the 5 elements are fitness, engaging in moderately challenging physical activities according to my personal abilities. Number 2, fun, having fun every day, basically enjoying doing stuff, or not, whatever yields happiness and pleasure. Oftentimes, doing nothing, simply resting, that makes me physically and emotionally happiest sometimes. Number 3, food. Cooking and consuming healthy eats. Not 100% of the times. I don't eat like the best foods all of the time, but definitely consciously doing so with my health in mind. Mostly being drawn to the consumption of foods with lower saturated fats, less processed sugars, and eating more foods such as lean meat and more fresh fruits and vegetables. Numbers 4 and 5, family and friends, making and developing positive, nurturing relationships that we need to basically enjoy life. Today, let's start out with a little fun. I'll ask you all to recall a childhood game called Rock, Paper, Scissors, also known as Paper, Scissors, Stone, or other variants. It's a hand game usually played between 2 people, in which each player simultaneously forms one of 3 shapes with an outstretched hand. These shapes are rock, a closed fist, paper, a flat hand, and scissors, a fist with the index and middle fingers extended, forming a V. Scissors is identical to the 2-fingered V sign, also known as a victory or peace sign, except that it's pointed horizontally instead of being held upright in the air. This also, I want to just point out that it's a simultaneous zero-sum game that has only 2 possible outcomes other than a tie. One of the 2 players wins and the other player loses. Okay, so there's a television commercial that's on heavy rotation, airplay. You've probably seen it too. This cute little gingerbread man playing rock, paper, scissors with a guy about who gets less, I guess, of the coffee creamer, I believe. I don't drink coffee, so it's really not important to me. But I think this commercial is absolutely adorable. My husband, well, he's tired of it. He's tired of the commercial. He's probably just tired of my reaction because every time it comes on the television, I always very emphatically say, "He's so cute." And my husband also retorts, "You don't look at me like that." This therefore forces me to remind him that, well, I also don't bite off your head. Well, at least not physically. I think that I'm so drawn to the little guy, to the commercial, because it depicts this character with whom I can relate. Now I'm not saying that I'm adorable. My husband thinks so, but maybe not so much. What I'm saying is that I believe I have quite a bit of tenacity to fully participate in the game of life, despite having a chronic illness, multiple sclerosis. The little gingerbread man, he plays a game where he is at a disadvantage, or is he? He doesn't have any fingers, therefore he can't configure either of his hands to make a scissor sign. Likewise, he can't do rock. Why? He can't make a fist. That requires clenching fingers into the palm and, well, he has no fingers. He does what he can. Each time he plays, he purports to present his choice of options. He plays the same card, so to speak, making the same move each round. Paper. Every time. Paper. And just like on that commercial, sometimes he wins. How? Because the guy, his opponent, he forgets that the gingerbread man is actually limited in what he can do. No, actually, you know what? I believe it's because he forgets what he can do. That little guy, the cookie, he's only focused on his ability, giving it 100% each time, doing what he can when he can. His outcomes aren't always negative. All right, so I'm not a gingerbread cookie. I'm a 45-year-old woman who's been dealing with multiple sclerosis for almost 20 years. Yesterday, I visited a physical therapist, as my doctor suggested when I told him about my fall about a month ago. I fell at the gym. It was my first fall in over 9 years. This time, a fall in classic MS style. It was my first fall ever backwards, and this time it was near the treadmill, not even walking on the treadmill. I wasn't on the treadmill. I was just near the treadmill. I fell backwards just standing. When he said he was writing orders for the therapy, I begrudgingly said, okay. My initial thoughts being, I know how to walk. But I then reminded him that I actually had gone to a physical therapist 8 years prior. I believe it was just after that last fall. And, despite the drop foot that I was experiencing, a severe lack of ankle flexion in my right leg, the drop foot was in the left leg. After a couple months of sessions with the therapist, I was walking. More importantly, I was walking without any assistive devices. I was using a cane at the time, but when I finished up, no more cane. So, assessing this as an opportunity to manage myself, I had the mindset that I was ready, just ready to go. And as soon as the hospital scheduler called me, I went ahead and proceeded with the upcoming appointment. When I got the call, I scheduled with the same uncanny excitement that I had 19 years ago when my neurologist delivered my MS diagnosis and asked me to pick one of the 3 DMDs, or disease-modifying drugs. Yeah, that was nearly 2 decades ago. At that time, there wasn't a plethora of drug therapies as compared to today. I could have perhaps assigned each drug to rock, paper, and scissors, then went on to play a game with a friend, basically choosing on the winning result. But it was my choice of which therapy I would start, and I wanted to select and start my therapy based on quantitative clinical trials and to maintain as good of a quality life as possible. So it's a no-brainer why I went yesterday to the physical therapist. In my first visit, to a new physical therapist, and on my questionnaire, that's absolutely in accordance of why I was there. Exactly what I denoted as my reason why I was there. To maintain, perhaps improve my quality of life regarding my gait and my balance. Although I've never experienced any pains related to my MS, I am able to walk miles, and there's actually so much more that I can do. I was there at the therapist facilities. I was there to maintain my mobility, and basically I wanted to learn or understand techniques, or better understand the techniques that were that I could use in everyday life to perhaps improve my mobility. from the therapist's initial test, basically sit down and stand up, she clearly learned, basically detected my challenge, and after completing her Q&A or question and answer series, she and I both realized that I had been having balance changes for a while. She asked me if any instances that I could recall, and I recall the June 2003 competition. This is my third figure bodybuilding competition. 4 years after my diagnosis, I remember the first round scorecard. The judging went just like I had planned. First place. Most of the judges gave me first place. That was a winner. But after the second round, I had fallen to third place. What? I found out why. One of the judges, she personally came to give me I'll say the ugly truth. She said, "Dawn, get your walk together." I said, "Okay." Later, I watched the DVD of the show, and I understood just exactly what she meant. Sure, I had on 4-inch high heels, and I had, like I said, I had MS. I still have MS, but here I am with MS walking on stage with 4-inch heels. But that was no way to walk across the stage, especially in a two-piece bikini. Well, my interpretation of it was kind of like a cowboy getting ready for a duel to death. I got a first round call out, and but as I stood there for the successive comparisons, I was relaxed. I looked so relaxed, too relaxed, in fact. My feet were far apart. My right hand was literally on my right hip, just like the fashion of a like I was waiting for the dual officiator to exclaim, "Draw!" I looked like a cowboy with a bikini on and heels. Anyway, I later corrected my stance for all of my successive shows, but with each one, it felt like the stage was on a boat with really rough waves. I stood there fighting for some balance. Seemed like every nerve in each of my feet was fighting, just trying to find a good grasp on the ground, or a flat surface, so that I didn't fall. Even my last competition I won, this was just over 5 years ago, I actually used a cane on stage so that I could feel more stable, especially since I couldn't walk across the stage in the 2008 competition. But the video shows the imbalance even with the cane. So it wasn't like someone who had graced the stage for 10 years, winning most of her shows. I definitely had I had some challenges going on with my balance that I guess I thought I could hide. Oftentimes we want to hide our weaknesses. So I definitely could see them, and I can admit to them today. And it was interesting talking to the therapist that, as I talked about it and sat back and looked at my past, I could see that, again, this was not something new. I had been having challenges with my balance and my walking for years. Wow, I was older, but here I am, 10 years down the road from my first. Wait a second, actually, 15 years from my very first competition, over 15 years, and like any individual, nerve connections are lost with age. That was explained to me by the therapist. I was aware that with MS, I probably have a greater loss of needed walking connections. When I speak of walking connections, I'm talking about the nerves. MS, multiple sclerosis, means many scars. The scars referring to the damage on my nerves. The damage is on the outer covering of the nerves, which is the myelin sheath, and because that protective sheet is damaged, conduction of signals from my brain to different parts of my body are compromised, similar to an electrical cord. If it's stripped, you may call it stripped, it may have some impact on the efficiency of electricity being properly conducted through the wire. So I understand that, with MS, I'm probably going to have more damage to connections, like for walking and things like that. But I didn't realize that, basically, just as we get older, we all have those challenges. But so, I understand this, and she proceeded to access where I am. If you want to find out my ability, so that we can determine how and if it can be improved. That is my walking abilities, my gait, and also my balance. So basically, I told her, hey, I'm all in. I want to improve. It's all about my quality of life. So basically, I felt like, kind of like rock, paper, scissors, but not really. But I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's give it a try, and hopefully, going through the process of the assessment, the recommendations, and my follow through, hopefully it will yield the best efficacy. Efficacy is the ability to produce a desired or intended result. So similar to basically I'm going to say I use the same logic here. Dealing with the therapist for the first our initial meeting, as logic that I had employed on March 11th, 1999, when after 6 arduous months of, I'd say, horrifying symptoms, unknowing, me going through losing a bit of my autonomy. I'm 25, 26 years old. I couldn't drive. So many things I couldn't do. Fearing that I would lose my sanity. But that March 1999, my doctor, he said, you have multiple sclerosis. Which of the 3 disease-modifying drugs do you want to start taking? Well, I didn't want this diagnosis to become me, so I chose one with with the least frequency of administration. At the time, to my understanding, the efficacy of the one that I chose was about 33%, 1 in 3. So I figured this one's the least invasive, and some control was retained by me. I could take it or not. Similarly, I could practice these basic tasks sitting and standing, with eyes open, with eyes closed, increasing the duration of the time, maybe improving my speed in the execution of the sitting and standing movements. I could do this, or like I said, I could practice this in hopes of improving my natural balance, or not, or maybe just letting it be what it is, and probably deteriorating, which I don't know if you can tell, that's not really an option for me at all. But why would I just sit back and let my ability, my balance, my ability to stand up, my ability to walk, why would I just sit back and let that deteriorate if I can do something about it? Again, if I can manage myself to minimize the rate of deterioration, and like I said, hopefully improve my abilities. It's funny that just like, I guess, 8-9 years ago, a therapist, when I learned to walk again. She explained it as walking as a learned behavior, something that I don't know. I had never thought about it like that in those terms, but it was just as enlightening when my therapist yesterday, she told me pretty much the same thing. And it's funny, if she asked me, she's like, when you walk, can you walk without can you walk without really thinking about it? Kind of like, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? Well, Actually, I cannot. I can. It's not pretty, or as my husband described it best when he said, I kind of walk in a some people walk in a straight line, whether it be a diagonal or what have you, but I walk kind of in a curvy line, similar to a snake going across a desert. I have another friend who said, she picked up a new skill. She told her doctor that she can walk in cursive. And I was like, yeah, that's about right. That's me. I walk in cursive. So instead of walking in cursive, I want to walk straight without using every muscle fiber or every thought. Total focus being on my walking abilities. Like I told my therapist, I said, walking up and down the stairs, I need 110% focus on getting that done. I don't want to fall down the stairs, either traveling up or down, because I know that my balance really is that compromised. So I actually hold on to the rail, and I do it very slowly and deliberately, but I need all of my focus. So she said, and I agreed, that my goal is going to be to walk straight, balanced, without using so much focus on, thinking about it so much. So, she said, like, basically without vision, because a large part of our balance is generated from our vision, our visual perception. So what I'll be working on next week is basically balance standing, and I guess probably some movement, maybe walking, with and without visions, as far as maintaining the balance, using my entire foot, the whole surface area of my foot, and not just leaning toward the ball of my foot or the heel of my foot, and understanding where my surface area, my center of gravity is in relation to my surface area. Not needing to stand with feet very wide apart, standing like a normal stance, but standing like that properly, where I'm not taxing more muscles than I need unnecessarily, but just standing using the most efficient ways to get the job done. So that's the plan for next week. That's it. That's my connection to the gingerbread man. That's my connection to rock, paper, scissors. Today, this is my 20th year battling MS, multiple sclerosis, and I oftentimes feel that it's necessary to remind folks that I interact with why I can't do some things, because so oftentimes I'm doing things that it's not expected to be done by someone, quote unquote, like me. Too many times people are focused on a person's disabilities and just have a blind side to their abilities. I choose to focus on my abilities. Every day I focus on my abilities, doing what I can do. I do what I do, and I try to do what I do well. So I focus on my abilities, and my people say, what motivates you, or what's your push? My push is my quality of life. I want to have the best quality of life that I can, being less of a burden on family and friends. I want to really get quality of life, enjoying life to its fullest, and I want to be mobile. I want to maintain my mobility. If and when I need any assistive devices, I'm not too proud to use them. If it means I can still get up and do things, I will. So today, it's the first week of the new year, 2018. Today I want to challenge each of you out there to take a personal inventory of your abilities, what you can do, and then choose to enjoy them. I'm asking this to, choose to enjoy your abilities in hopes to minimize the impact of the opposites on your quality of life. What I mean by that is, things that you can do, things that make you happy, things that bring you joy. do more of that, and the things that you can't do, maybe, I have a lot of friends who they haven't gotten out of bed, or they can't get out of bed and walk. There's many things that they can't do. I have a friend, she's I think she's about 2 years older than I am, and she has secondary progressive MS. She can't feed herself. There's so many things that she can't do, but I tell you, she's like one of the sweetest, funniest individuals that I know. Very loving, very big heart, and she visits with other patients, and she has a good time, and they enjoy her visit. So it's amazing how people. I'm learning now that I'm older. I'm really appreciating the fact that we can our abilities and the joy that we can bring or give to others. The joy that we can give to ourselves often it really doesn't cost anything. It's not really tangible items that do this for us. So, spending time with people, talking, getting to know them, just learning about somebody and learning about their interests and things like that. It's actually, I don't know. That's okay. I'm sure if you know me, you probably know that's why I'm at the gym for so long, because I'm probably at the gym and working out some, but I'm talking to probably everybody in sight, and we're enjoying life. And so, like I said, today, the first week of the year, 2018, I challenge you all to focus on your abilities, take an inventory, do those things, and maybe it's just talking to somebody and making them laugh, or a corny joke, but get out and do what makes you happy, and hopefully you'll have some fun doing this, and down the road, I guess, hopefully this will lead to a stress-less life with or without multiple sclerosis. This is Dawn Melanie, and I thank you for joining this week, and super excited about the upcoming week. Hopefully I'll have some progress for you on the therapy sessions.